We are live via Alex Jones talking about not only these SDR units and these NABs, these new reserve currencies, but how they're literally funding internationalism through these war bills of $108 billion. Oh, he's shutting down Guantanamo Bay, but he can't find the budget in the $108 bill we just passed.
No, all they're doing is moving them to camps being built in the United States. That's admitted. But right now, folks, they're moving on every front. This is the big kahuna. They're bringing in the world government right now. So it is happening. And just on every issue, whether it's the global carbon tax, the takeover of health care, the Federal Reserve being given unlimited power, the federal government announcing they control all water in the U.S. from puddles and aquifers and all the land grabbing there. I mean, this is it.
Bulldozing U.S. cities. Bulldozing U.S. cities. We're not going to, home the homeless. We're not going to clothe the naked or feed the hungry. We're going to bulldoze cities, create FEMA camps, and have people come beg to be taken care of by their lords in the government.
You can't make this stuff up. But anyways, go back to the calls, Bermas. I was just running in here obnoxiously.
All right, Jones. God bless. Zach, what's your take? Let me just read this. China suggested in March that the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights, or SDRs, could play a role as a future reserve currency. That's kind of a lie because it already is a current reserve currency, which would lessen the reliance on the U.S. dollar as the world's top reserve unit. They're already in the process of doing that. They're not going to wait on it. It's actually going to happen. It's happening. The SDR is an international reserve asset allocated to IMF member countries with its exchange rate determined by a basket of currencies. See, a basket of currencies. More internationalism. More legitimizing global governance. The basket of currencies at the moment include the dollar, the euro, the yen, and sterling. A review of the basket is due in late 2010. And don't worry, they'll throw a couple more in the basket or they'll take some away. Who knows, they might consolidate the currencies and create a whole new one if they're really planning to blow out the dollar full force in September. Let's go to Linda in California. Linda, you're online.
Hi, Jason. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Good. Listen, I'm wondering if you run into the same frustration in trying to wake people up. The frustration that they're so docile, apathetic, indifferent to the enraged people. It's really hard to find just somebody that just doesn't literally look at me like I'm not only wearing the tin hat, I've got a ding-dang dingleberry at the top, and I've definitely just had a big glass of red Kool-Aid.
Well, here's the deal. There's always going to be opposition. And I can't tell you that I run into 100% of people and turn them around, or 100% of people are interested in what I have to say. I had a lot more opposition when I was first starting out. You're a kook. 9/11 wasn't an inside job. We're going to be out of Iraq in 6 months. Bermas, what are you talking about? We're not going to spend the rest of our lives in Afghanistan. There is no North American Union. They would never bring gas up to $5 a gallon. You just have to continue to be right. You just have to continue to expose it. And I always tell people this. Try to find some common ground when you do so in the beginning. Then you get them interested in things. So in other words, you're talking to a conservative and they're going to church every Sunday. You mention to them, oh, yeah, you're going to church. Oh, well, it's July. You ever heard of a thing called the Bohemian Grove? A lot of conservatives like to go there. No, I don't know about the Bohemian Grove. Oh, well, I've got my iPhone here. Let's look at a YouTube clip of it. And you send it to them. Or you show it to them right on the spot, and they're like, no, this can't be conservative. No, really, here's some annals. So you get off Google image search, and it's admitted the Bush boys, Newt Gingrich, Richard Nixon used to go, Ronald Reagan was there. And all of a sudden the spark comes up. Well, where can I learn more about this? And you give them an end game. So always try to relate with somebody first when you're bringing up this information. If you know they're going to be opposed to 9/11 truth off the bat, don't come at that as your primary. Use that as your secondary or the third thing you talk to them. Bring them in slow. That's how you get them to really pay attention and wake up from their high fructose corn syrup, mercury-enabled brains. Docile brains in reality. We'll be back after this. Is the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas taking your calls. 866-582-9933. I can see through you. And we're talking about these reserve currencies, and they are not only weakening the dollar, and we've been reporting this all week, they're going after the Canada dollar, the loonie, and of course the toonie, which is a $2 coin as well. Canada's dollar weakened after the Federal Reserve left its $1.75 trillion bond purchase program unchanged, boosting the appeal of the U.S. dollar as refuge. Folks, they want to blow out Canadian people. They want to blow out Americans. They want to blow out Mexicans. You know why? They want a North American currency. Whether they call that an Amero or whatever, who knows? They call it whatever they want. Who cares? It promotes globalization. It's the next step after they built their European Union and their euro. They are trying to build a Eurasian Union right now. And I mean, China is openly calling for new reserve currencies. It's time to wake up. Brian in New York. Brian, you're on the line. Yes, sir.
It's a lot of pressure, Jason. Hey, I don't mean to be rude, but is Mr. Jones still in the building?
Jones is still in the building. Hold on. He's ushering in. Hold on. All right, hold on. He's got to put some headphones on. Don't jump the gun. All right, go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Admiral.
I have. Thank you. I just wanted some direction as far as doing some internet radio. I have no clue. How do I begin? What do I do?
You know, I don't even have time to watch movies or TV, much less internet radio anymore. Used to, I would take a couple hours out a week to surf around and see what other people were doing.
Right.
I know that there is a whole proliferation of what they call radio blogs, and it's kind of like sites where people don't want to be on video, and so they want to be on audio, and so you go in and you kind of have your own board, your own little mixing board. And you do you do like recordings, and then you post that up to the blog site, and that blog site has a lot of users and a lot of visitors. So you want to pick some of the bigger radio blog sites out there and then post your audio. And if people like what you have to say, then it proliferates and gets posted on YouTube and Google and other places. And so it's all a process. But you just said something?
Yeah, I was saying that, that sounds convoluted and like it would take years to even get anybody to hear you.
No, listen, I remember in 1996, I'd been on Access TV about a year and a half, 2 years, been on radio. Just a few. Pardon me?
No, I've done cable access, but,
Well, that's huge. I mean, that's great. But, hold on just a minute. I mean, you're saying convoluted. What I'm saying is I remember a local IT guy having me come over to his house 10 or 15 times to do an internet radio show when nobody was doing it in 96 and having dozens of listeners and getting phone calls.
And let me just say this, my show is often bigger the next day on podcast than it is even here streaming live, Alex.
But that's what I'm trying to say to the guy is that Rome wasn't built in a day. And so for years, I mean, when I started Infowarriors.com in 1997, I didn't have a website for the first 2 years. I was getting excited, getting a couple hundred views a day. And then it was a couple thousand, and then a couple million a month. So, I mean,
in 2002, the website was drastically different, Alex. We're talking about total blog format, just bare bones. Infowars.com.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think as an instant gratification society, I mean, you see Ron Paul. He goes and does interviews with little blogs and stuff that have a few thousand people. Sir, I would just challenge you to not overthink the whole thing and think something's beneath you. I would challenge you to just go ahead and get a show and do something small, because even if you wake up one person a week, that's a precious thing. So I would do a show each week, and then I would upload it to 4 or 5 different blog sites, and then you'd have a lot of different audiences. All right, take care. I'm out of here. Bermas is coming back.
We are surrounded